Good evening and welcome to Americana. I'm Willie Montague.
And I'm Shakhea Hinton.
This is where serious issues meet serious conversation. No slogans, no sideshows, just substance. Buckle up. This is Americana. Well, coming up on today's episode, House blocked ACA Affordable Care Act subsidy vote, GOP fights back, clemency and communities of color. That should definitely be interesting. Campus shooting sparks gun control debate. Of course it does. And good old Sister Susie Wiles and Vanity Fair. Let's dive into it. I knew something was coming up here. Why this matters today. House Republicans blocked a quick vote on extending key Obamacare subsidies, 204 to 203, after Democrats pushed a discharge petition to force it. Conservatives argue Democrats want a bailout for Obamacare without accountability, and Democrats argue GOP is letting premiums spike on the middle-class families. What say thee? As I told you, this is all a political stunt for the Democrats.
A political stunt by the Democrats, the working class that we so often represent. You think that we are doing this for a political stunt?
Yeah, I think that we saw what happened with the Republicans. They pushed back. They wanted to just go ahead and move forward to have what is necessary when it comes to medical health. However, this does not mean we need the full Obamacare. I think that Obamacare was a disaster from the beginning because it got rid of our free market solutions. America was built off of free markets, not what the Democrats is throwing us, which is they want to control, is overreach.
So the political stunt, I'm still stuck on that.
Because it's election time.
It's election time, but elections happen every year. So 15
not a midterm
years,
election.
15 years, the Republican Party has had a chance to fix or annul or come up with a plan for said health care, and yet they haven't. Now that Trump is in office, it is now being a political debacle. We're playing with people's lives. Within a couple of weeks, people will fall off of certain health care plans because their premiums will spike. So, prime example, the other night, Senator Rick Scott of the free state of Florida, as you so lovely like to call it, he mentioned that he is proposing a bill that will allow the individual to actually purchase their own insurance, right? He's putting the money back in the people's pockets, and he likened it to food stamps. How when someone is at the register, you know, they have the opportunity to figure out what they need for their families. My pushback on that, Mr. Montague.
I would say, what is your pushback?
My pushback is he likened it to food stamps, but just recently, y'all were doing this tango, dangling food stamps for the American
who is
people. Y'all, the Republican Party.
No,
y'all were dangling the concept of food and safety for people who actually need it. So why use that terminology?
From the beginning, as you mentioned, Rick Scott is from the free state of Florida, and that is where he is the representative as a senator.
Sure.
And this goes back and falls into the hands of, as I mentioned, the states taking control, not the federal government. And that's the issue I keep saying. Even when we deal with health care, we are still putting these things in the hands of the federal government. Do you not see that as an issue?
No, I don't. Because the government should play a part in making sure that this country is...
You want us to be a socialist country like Canada?
Actually, yeah, it wouldn't hurt. You don't see a lot of death or issues in Canada compared to America.
That's a lie. They feel like they're in bondage.
No, not necessarily. But Florida, since we're on the topic of Florida, Florida is going to be the hardest hit state when it comes to the ACA ending. 1.5 million Floridians will be without health care if the premiums spike Is that not a concern for you?
That is not going to happen. Do you honestly believe
How is that not going to happen?
Because what I'm saying, that's when the states step in. Do you honestly feel like the states are going to allow for people in their own states, the governor of their state, to not have health care?
I do.
No.
So we're going to revisit this again in January?
We're going to revisit, and I think we're going to revisit
Who's the governor of Florida?
The great Ron DeSantis.
Oh, okay.
And I think when we see this, is we're going to see that Republicans, as always, we know how to play hardball and get a strategy and do what's necessary. When, again, as I said before, Democrats love sucking the titties of the government. And it's time over. People of color and clemency. The power of clemency is held with the President of the United States. However, under Trump's second term, he seems to overfavor one particular group when granting this. What particular group is this?
What do you think? Who do I advocate for? Who do I amplify on every show? Okay. Black and brown communities. So do you know who Alice Johnson is?
Yes. I'm glad you said that.
Yes.
Harpo, who is this woman?
Yes.
Let's bring up Alice Johnson.
Yes, please.
She is a black woman. And what is her role?
She is the pardon Caesar. Yes.
So how do you think that he is favoring the white people over the black people?
So data shows that. So 1,500 of the insurrectionists from January 6th were pardoned. So that's 90% of people within Trump's 11 months in office that were pardoned for their crimes that the federal government deemed and convicted them of being, against the law, right? 10% of the 90 were only of black and brown people with felonies. So you now tell me, and I honestly do, whatever you're about to say, the answer is yes.
You don't even know what
The answer is yes.
You really think that he is leaving out black and brown people when it comes to pardons and clemency?
I do. I think it's intentional because it speaks to the mass incarceration that most black and brown communities face. But why is it that 1,500 American, mostly white people were pardoned for their crimes, but yet people who have already been incarcerated, who have been petitioning for pardons, who have been petitioning for commutations, have been denied?
Do you really think, this is what I have to, this is my problem with colored folks. When you with colored folks. So when we talk about this in regard to that, where were you guys when it was time when he was pardoning all of these rappers? Nobody.
It's not a lot of rappers, so let's be particular. Are you talking about Kodak Black?
Kodak Black
the Haitian who will soon feel the wrath of Donald
what
Trump.
wrath is he going to feel? He's still he's still supporting. There was other.
He is Haitian.
What you think that he's going to be escorted back to Haiti in February?
I don't know if it's him, but his community.
So you think that Black History Month is the time that Trump's going to send?
Well, that's what he said. February 6th is when this is going to be enacted for TPS. Like, I'm not making this up.
Okay,
this is exactly what Trump said.
This is where I have the problem. Is what do you think that, or who do you think that he should be getting out of these prisons? What do you have a particular list of individuals that meet the criteria to be declared or have a pardon given to them?
Absolutely. I think people who have been deemed as, what is it called? Their offenses weren't demoralizing. I think people who have committed low-level crimes, who have already served their debt to society, should be given a second chance. Now, people who have like habitual offenses, obviously they could possibly stay, incarcerated. But it shouldn't be disproportionately affected towards Black and brown people. 1,500, that is 90% of the people that Trump has already pardoned within these 11 months. Do you not see that as unfair?
No, because he has 3 more years. What do you want him to do in that? Give him time to be able to do it. That's why he got a black woman as a pardon Caesar. Give her time to go through the pain. It's not overnight. Do you think that you just walk into prison and say, gee, I want to get you out here? It takes time.
It does take time. So let's
revisit this.
To that point, if it takes that much time, January 6th insurrectionists did not have to wait a long time to be pardoned.
That was a march of freedom.
They did not, whatever you want to call it, Willie, they were still deemed as committing a felony crime.
Who deemed them that, though? It was the crooked Biden administration and their DOJ.
Is this not a double standard?
It is not a double standard.
So how do you explain?
It is plain sight that they were using their political strong arm to go after people who were Trump supporters.
How do you explain the multi-billion company, crypto company, that Trump pardoned when there are other people who have more of a need to be pardoned for their crimes?
How do you explain that with Sam Freed and the money that Maxwell Frost got from him for his campaign?
Moving on,
we have the run on over to a quick commercial break. It's not a sore spot. Because if we're going to talk about something, let's talk about the whole picture. Democrats are just as crooked with George Soros and Alex Soros.
I want us to talk about Congressman Frost tomorrow.
No, I don't want to talk about him.
You brought him up.
He's a bastard. Let's move on.
You brought him up.
We're moving on to have a commercial break, you guys. When we get back, don't worry.
I'm going to keep pushing this button.
We're not going anywhere. We're keeping it real.
You are so intimidated by Frost.
We will be back.
You are intimidated.
This is Americana.
This is crazy, Willie.
All righty. We are back here on Americana. Let's get into, this is definitely, it is a soft spot, but something we need to have this discussion as we continue to do. We said earlier this week, a fatal campus shooting at Brown University and other recent incidents has reignited the national discussion on gun safety and gun security. Let's talk about where America stands. Republicans focus on security, mental health, and enforcement, and we know Democrats call for tighter gun laws and restrictions. But I would actually pose this as a conversation. Do you think there is a middle ground as we have this? Because there's not going to be a decline. I think this is only going to escalate. One, because we look at the climate that we live in and so much political tension. More, I believe we'll have more shootings.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the climate that we're in right now, there's a lot of tension. It's tension whether it's race, it's tension whether it's political divide, it's tension just period.
Yeah.
So for me, as I've said this over and over, I think this gives enough time to kind of really dive into this. What is the actual solution that we could come up with as Democrat, Republican?
I think both sides of the aisles are making valid points. Your rights should not be taken away, but there should be some type of amendment to them. Mental health is a thing. Resources need to be provided for the mental health. So I think the middle ground that you and I both are seeking, or both parties should be seeking, is how do you connect the two without making it politically left or right leaning or race driven. I don't know what that looks like. I wish I did. I think the people in DC who represent us have a lot of ego right now. I think ego is blocking progress, I think, on both sides of the aisle. And once ego is put aside, and I don't know how many deaths are going to have to happen or mass shootings are going to have to happen in order for ego to be put aside. But to your point, if it's not, pride is going to keep exuding and lives are going to be claimed.
Now, you mentioned in the beginning when you were speaking about amending. What should we amend?
The process of obtaining a gun.
But we already do kind of have, or not we do kind of have, we do
I was going to say, which one is
we do have in place the the background checks. It's not like people can literally like go in there and today walk out. Like you have to have these background checks ran.
So how do you explain, and I'm going to compare and contrast, how do you explain the number of deaths in the United States versus in Australia? So we know Australia just had a mass shooting at a beach where you go to literally let your hair down, put your toes in the sand. You are not on guard for something that just took place like that, right? But that is 1 in like 10 for them.
But was that, and correct me if I'm wrong, was this in relation to the Jewish celebration?
Yes.
So that was more of a hate-geared type of shooting.
Yes.
Right. So with that, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Australia may not have gun issues as much as mass shootings than we do, but don't they have issues with stabbings?
They do. So that doesn't negate harm being caused to people in like, mass surroundings and large surroundings. But what I am saying is the leading cause of death in the United States are caused by guns, access to guns, whether that is a child gaining access to an unsecured weapon, right? Or if you have someone who goes through the due process of owning a gun, they wait for the time frame that they need for the background checks to be done, but then the mental health side of things happen, or they get indoctrinated by a lot of hate messaging that they see online or on TV, and that drives them to do it. There is such a stark difference with the United States in how we obtain and utilize guns versus in other countries, and I'm just trying to figure out why.
But I mean,
why the stark contrast?
I think that there should be more training and resources available in those trainings so that, and we have law enforcement that should offer, and I was told several times, I was just at a panel that I was on, and that law enforcement officer stated they have training. If people want these trainings, they can sit as a community and learn about gun safety. Now, let's talk about all communities. Do people really go after and seek these trainings? Or should it be mandatory if you go and do, those are things that we should look at. But for me, as I said earlier this week, taking away people's ability to have a gun based off of a perception of a thing is a dangerous route. Because if I want to protect my family, I want to protect my family. I should not feel like it's infringed upon just because some idiot across the sea goes and does something that is, ridiculous, hate crime, versus me being here and just because somebody wants to be a gangbanger and wants to go out and shoot them up.
So I'm glad you brought that up. So I don't think your amendment should be infringed upon by having it completely taken away. I've always stated that. I don't think that should be fair. But if you live in a state where open carry is a thing, and you have a black person who is openly carrying a firearm, the likelihood of them being stopped, frisked, and assumed to be either a gangbanger or not having the proper credentials showing that they are, able to carry is going to be more higher than those who do not look like you and I. Do you not see that?
I don't think that's true. The officer that I spoke to, which was in a all-black community, a black officer that's been in office for probably 40 years, made it very clear that they don't have the ability to just walk up to you just because you're open and carry. And this is a black man in a black community.
That is fair. So shout outs to him, whoever you spoke to. My heart goes out to the black man. I can't remember his name off the top of my head now, but this was a couple of years ago.
Trayvon?
No, not Trayvon. He was stopped. This black man was stopped for a traffic violation. He told the officer, I am legally carrying right now. He was getting ready to pull his firearm out to put it on the dashboard. The cop heard him say that and still shot him dead in front of his children who were in the back seat.
And that is tragic. I am also a black man, and I have been pulled over, and I told them I had a gun, and all they did was just tell me, okay.
So who's at fault with this man's death? So, and I'm kudos to you.
The gun is not at fault.
No, I'm not saying the gun is at fault. What I am talking to and what I'm trying to target is the system. The
right,
system,
but what I'm comparing the two. He's a black man, I'm a black man. What was the difference?
I don't know, Willie.
That's what I'm saying.
I
So
don't
we
know.
can't.
Is it the officer in training?
That's what I'm saying. We need to use more resources for that. But to restrict and regulate a whole population of people off of an officer who is more than likely ignorant and racist.
That is one of many.
We just cannot go that route. But let's take speaking of that route, let's go Susie Wiles and Vanity Fair. Susie Wiles gave a series of interviews over the course of 11 months to Vanity Fair. The article and portraits have taken the media by storm.
Have you seen them?
I do not like Susie Wiles. Let's start
Why
that
not?
way. I do not like her.
I am shocked. Why?
I think she is the reason why President Trump is made to look bad.
And he feels the complete opposite. He praises her like he hails her.
Well, of course he has to. That's his chief of staff.
He doesn't have to. Like, they said that she has always been brutally honest with him. And I am just shocked that you don't like her. I thought that you
I didn't like her from the beginning, no.
Really? So this article that has come out with Vanity Fair and her leading it, are you shocked or are you disappointed?
I actually have not seen it, so if you want to run me through it. I don't read or look at anything. I think she's the Wickedy Witch of the West. And
she's his chief of staff, and you feel that way? Yeah. That is crazy to me. Wow, you are such a wild card. I just don't know if you coming or going sometimes, Willie. I just don't know what to do. By God. Well, in this 11-month interview, I am really shocked. In this 11-month interview, she allowed this Vanity Fair reporter to come in and get an inside scoop of the cabinet. So she talked about each person, J.D. Vance, you know, the secretary, like a number of people in the cabinet, right? And she was candidly speaking. You can tell that she was completely relaxed by this guy, and it was an 11-month process. The articles just dropped yesterday, including the pictures. Now, the pictures weren't favorable for many of the people that were in the shots. And so social media has gone crazy about like how this depiction of Trump's administration really shows like them aging, them really not being up to par with the position that they're holding. And I just wanted to get your take on that to see how you felt about it.
Well, I would say this. I mean, most of the administration, I mean, she's definitely aging, but we would definitely say that some of the other individuals, they're young. Most of his cabinet are young people. They're not even breaking 50 years old. So I'm a little confused.
Do you think that Trump is old?
Trump is seasoned.
So do you see the hypocrisy of what you just said and it being misogynist?
It's not.
Now
I'm a misogynist because I don't like Susie Wiles.
No, because you just likened her as being old, and I asked you if Trump was old, and you said that he was seasoned. Your choice of words. Oh boy, I tell you.
Well, I don't like Susie Wiles. But it's not patriarchy. But as I've said before, women should not be in those particular positions. Women need to learn how to be submissive. That concludes tonight's episode of Americana. I'm Willie Montague.
Y'all know who I am, the realest one on this show, Shakhea Hinton.
Thank you for engaging with thoughtful, honest conversations. We'll see you tomorrow.